Hello and welcome to lesson number 58 in our current micro series in lockdown 3. Today is the 30th of March 2021 and we're going to be looking at study number 58 in the book of 60. This study is one for pizzicato. Now it doesn't really explore a great deal on pizzicato, but it does open your mind to various types of pizzicato. And I rather like the description of it being lento, so don't be in a rush and really consider how you might shape your phrases with pizzicato, however simple. So if you took the first line, which is just a set of crotchets, and initially you might like to play without the bow. So we might think about phrase shaping. Notice something like the simplicity of putting your left hand fingers over the string to stop it vibrating at the right point at which you want the sound to stop. Other things you might notice in there was I'm looking at the same time my left hand with a nice stretch, not only between the G's in this fairly easy octave, but also the E's in this much more difficult stretching octave here, for connectivity. So you can still be thinking about left hand, however simple the notes might be. And of course you could get some phrase shape in there. You could potentially play it a little slower than that to really challenge yourself. The next obvious thing might be you should be holding a bow, because most of the time when you're coming across pizzicato you may not have time to put your bow down, or it's not long enough to be bothered. So let's actually practice it as if you had come attacco from a bow point and you need to hold it. There we have it. Now those are our most likely scenarios, either with or without a bow and plucking with the first finger. But consider other things. Consider changing which fingers you pizzicato with. I mean, the most obvious would just be using first or second fingers. And you could decide to allocate, say, the second finger to the lower voice and the first to the upper voice. So you're kind of really exploring the hands, the feeling of the fingertips in which you're going to use, and exploring how that might shape your patterns. The second part of this study is quavers, and these are really presented as effectively broken chords. And again, you'll need to practice it with the bow and without the bow. I mean, this time maybe without the bow, if you were even using the same finger, which is most of the time, we have plenty of time and it's comfortable to do so, you might think about where you pizzicato for dynamic change. So we might begin across the strings. Now these few chords that I'm about to play here in the lower position got a lot more scope for actually moving your hand away, so we could have loud and soft. Let's just try that out. So across the string first. For a moment I forgot whether my left hand was going somewhere else, but you get the idea, and you can shape, and there'd be absolutely a case in point for this sort of an idea. Much quieter pizzicato the nearer you get to your stopped finger, so you can actually create shape. And there's something also about that elegance of the movement that actually falls in line with the apparently terribly simple part. Just so that we can see those first few bars, we could equally do with the bow. thought, well, perhaps we'll just keep going and sort of see. So obviously you can do this exercise fine with the bow. Now momentarily, let's have a look at maybe the last few chords, so that when we have the higher register chord, add a finger and then change as you are about to change the chord. You have to do a swap between 3 and 4 this way around and 4 and 3. And we're looking for trying to keep the fingers down, press down to the fingerboard, that way they continue to ring. Because if you were to let go, you can hear that it's actually a shorter sound, which of course if they had staccatos on them, might be ideal. You could let go of your left hand finger and that would create the articulation. It's not just about the right hand, that sets the string in motion, but the left hand is the one that can stop the sound. So that's really all the points you might need to consider in that middle section. Then the penultimate section is this time now chords that are pizzicated consecutively. So rather than a harp chord, which there are none in here, but if you had harp chords it would be this, which is the thumb stroking diagonally across the strings there. However, the indication is absolutely clear. It says that you're at pizzicato with the thumb upwards. In other words, basically what I would call a pincer pitch. So we have a thumb for the C, 1, 2 and 3 fingers. The little finger is not used in this circumstance. We'll think about where it might be used in almost identical circumstance in a moment. So all 4 digits there. Now, the little finger would be needed if you are also holding your bow at the same time. And you can see my little finger is critical to stop me potentially dropping my bow, so that we could have, if we just take the last 4 chords, that would do. So obviously, a good idea to practice both ways. Initially, perhaps without the bow, if you're not used to pizzicatoing all 4 strings at the same time, and then have a go with the bow. You might vary which of the 3 you choose there. So a little bit of variety is good to keep your mind and your digits dexterous, flexible. Right, the very final exercise is very short. It's only 2 bars, and this time very just lightly touching upon the idea of you could bow a pizzicato at the same time. So all you're given is this. And that's all. Okay, it's the start of something, but I challenge you to do a little more. I quite favour actually trying out bowing chromatically some notes from the 4th finger. So I'm in upper 2nd position, got an A here on the D string. And if you play chromatically and make sure you can pizzicato all the other strings with whatever finger is available. So we might try this. Of course, different strings. Sorry. On the C string as well, and on the A string, and that for each of these you're looking at using a different finger to pluck there. You could always try on the A string in 4th position, which would give you a little bit more reverberance on the pizzicato, because you can hear, of course, that when you're pizzicatoing here, where my finger is plucking at that point is only about a 1/4 of the length of the string, so it is quite a metallic and percussive sound, but it's about dexterity and being able to control where the bow is on a particular string and the other fingers are doing something else, and you can change the pattern. So of course you could go, all using different fingers for that, play around this, you really understand the dexterity of the fingers, so that when you come to just, a single whatever it might be, you will find them probably very easy when you come across them if you've done something much more tricky in your own exercises. And that completes our lesson today about the study of pizzicato. which, as I say, in this book, that's a very tiny little open door, but it does start the process of thinking about pizzicato and actually making sure it's still, to the best of your ability, it's still musical, it's still shaped phrase, and you're thinking about the exact lengths of your pizzicato notes.